Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. It's 4th already. I'm in the shop. Paccar, that's what we're going to discuss today, is a Paccar engine. I should actually record the video prior to this, but when I had the truck in the shop, but it's always busy and no time to record the videos. This is a CAT engine, but I will kind of abbreviate. Let's picture this as a Paccar. On a Paccar, you have air compressor sitting right here, right where the ECM is. And then you have a power steering pump and a fuel pump. We will discuss about the power steering pump. It's a friend of mine, truck, and he came in, complaint was a hard steering. This is the pump. Hard steering under driving condition, not sitting still under driving conditions, and not all the time. Would say once in a while it's hard to steer, and I drove that truck. It is hard to steer once in a while. So this pump been replaced prior to this one. So he brought me a new power steering pump. So I disassembled the old one, checked everything. It's a vane pump. Like this thing comes out and this thing turns, and that's how it grabs the fluid and creates pressure. This is a pressure relief valve, which I threw it away. What I found, it had broken spring in 3 places, but the spring was broken towards the end of it, so it still was creating some sort of pressure. But the oil, I don't know if the camera will catch, see that oil quite don't look right. It looks milky, it's not red. What this type of the power steering takes, regular ATF, Dextron 3 fluid, that's what it says on the reservoir. That's what we've been putting in. Prior to that, I used CarQuest oil. So I started making research, what can cause oil become milky? Trust me, till this day I'm still confused, could not figure it out. So on the back side of the power steering pump, there's a fuel pump sits. Start thinking maybe we get contamination of fuel into the power steering. No, it's impossible, because the power steering pump carries a lot higher pressure than a diesel fuel pump, because that's not a high pressure pump for the diesel fuel I'm talking about. It's a transfer pump, so maximum pressure carries about 120 psi. Then I said maybe there's a water someplace gets in the power steering system. It's impossible, because the system, it's a non-cool power steering system. There's two differences. On the cars, they use a liquid cool power steering system, and on the semi-trucks, I don't know, maybe somebody like Volvo or somebody, they do that, but Paccar did not do that. So it's actually non-cooled power steering system, so it can't be there. So I inspect the old fuel pump, checked out okay, everything by the spec, disassembled that pump, and I said, since I had a broken spring and he got me a new one, I'm gonna put the new one in. So I assemble everything back on, clean everything out, drain the steering gearbox, which is on some of them, mine has dual, that one had single. So I drained that out, brake clean the crap out of it, blow all the lines out with the brake cleaner, clean them out, refill the transmission fluid. Guess what? Refill the power steering, and the oil become milky like instantly. And I did replace the, I think I throw it away now, there's a filter. Some people didn't know there's actually a filter inside. If you have this kind of style, any kind of style of the power steering will have, they will have a filter inside. So that needs to be replaced. I've seen some trucks run for over 1 million miles and the filter's never been replaced. But they last for a very long time, because that's a closed system. In the hydraulic world, they call it, the power steering is a closed system, like a coolant. There's, unless something goes bad inside, there's no outside contamination can get into it, besides this time. So oil become milky right away. I end up draining the fluid back again. Call buddy of mine, which is really good in hydraulics, and he says, you know what, inspect your lines, hydraulic lines. So I look at the pressure line. The pressure line is dry, so obviously we're not having a hole or any kind of sort of leak. But the suction side, it will be no leak. It would suck air, because he says maybe you don't have contamination of moisture with diesel fuel in the transmission fluid, in the power steering fluid. Maybe it's aerating itself. So what I ended up doing, this is the line came off of the truck, and I ended up buying a hydraulic hose, which is for the suction. So I replaced that once again. We cleaned everything out, blow all the lines out, replaced the filter once again, refilled it with a Mobil 1 Dextran 3 transmission fluid instead of CarQuest, primed the system, which you lift the truck off the ground so you have the tires not touching the ground, and you slowly turn it left to the right and kind of goes to the end hold and then the other way. Primed the system, drove the truck, came back, checked in the reservoir, voila, the steering, the power steering fluid is clean as it can be. I don't know if the hose actually was aerating system that much or something else was going on, but till this day, as I'm talking on in the video, it's a mystery for me because I quite don't understand how something can get contaminated in a closed system. So we fixed that problem. Maybe that will help somebody out. It's a I'm talking about Paccar engine, so if you kind of didn't catch it first. Then the other truck, I replaced the water pump, and that's off a 2015 Paccar, which is MX-13 water pump. I really like Paccars because they come replace parts, comes with the O-ring. This is O-ring, and it's very simple to change. This is probably the simplest water pump I ever changed on a semi truck, because it comes with a pulley with the O-ring. You literally pull the old one out, put the new one in, and once again, it's a CAT, but I will abbreviate the water pump locates on the Paccar right here on the front of the engine. So you take it's a belt driven, so you take the belt off, take 5 bolts out, put a new one in. Obviously, you got to drain the coolant and refill it. It took longer to drain it and refill the coolant than replace the water pump. Reason I'm saying that, hopefully will help somebody out. If you do own a Paccar and your water pump's all of a sudden leaking, if you're gonna go to the shop and they will tell you it takes more than 2 hours to replace the water pump, it's BS, because it does not take that long. I mean, 2 hours max. Anything beyond that, they will milk your job and take your money for no reason, which we know that happens quite often. So that's all what I got for today. Like I said, hopefully this video helps somebody with the Paccar. Overall, if somebody's gonna ask me much as mechanical knowledge I have, if it will come down to I have to buy a newer truck, let's say I gotta run a California, the socialist country, because they're all emissions free, clean air, I would consider buying a Paccar. They, in my opinion, all new engines are complicated, but the design of them is very simple. Actually, if you think about it, they are simple to work on it. Like everything exposed fairly decent, and you can trace where everything goes, by my opinion, compared to like Volvo or D15 or Cummins. Cummins, I would say easy to trace things down, but I just don't like them for some reason. Another thing, I will come back to the power steering real quick. So this power steering, I get a hold of one guy who actually strictly works on a Paccars in one of the dealers, and he actually certified Paccar mechanic. And I talked to him specifically, and I explained to him what was going on, and he gave me a little hint. So since the power steering pump and the fuel pumps getting driven off an air compressor, like they all run in line, like I was showing before, the air compressor, fuel, hydraulic power steering pump, and a fuel pump, they all run in line. The back bearing on the little crank for the air compressor can go bad, and it will whack out everything else. He said, I seen them so bad, they will run just fine. Like they will not make noise or nothing, because the noise of the engine kind of dampens that down, but you would start getting transmission fluid in the fuel system, because training carries the greater pressure than a fuel pump. But I checked that one, and it's gladly was in good shape. The bearing wasn't bad. One more thing, before they were hiding what the Paccar made by. It was hard to find it. So check this out. This is a power steering pump, came in a box from Duff. So apparently Paccar become DAF General Parts. If somebody's not familiar, you can Google what the DAF is. It's one of the truck manufacturing overseas in the European Union. They actually do make fairly good truck, I would say. When I was start dealing with the Paccars, they always would rebox there and they would say Paccar on it instead of DAF. But now I got the water pump and a power steering and the bolt set DAF. I don't know what I did with the box of a water pump. So thanks for watching all. Stay safe and stay tuned.